What's going on, everybody? What is happening? Our Sixers draft coverage continues with a really intriguing prospect. I think a Sixers fan favorite. He is EJ Liddell, out of Ohio State, a floor spacer forward, 6'7". We're going to break down his pros. We're going to break down his cons, and I've got the man, the myth, the legend. He is Tiago at PHL, Tiago PHL on Twitter. What's going on, Tiago?
What's going on, Chris? Liddell's a guy that's getting a ton of Sixers draft buzz. I mean, I think some of it came from the fact that he had a very good game with Villanova, and a lot of people got a chance to watch him up close and personal. There's a lot of interesting things about him that fits the Sixers roster. I am not as high on the fit as some folks are, but like we said, we can break it down and see where he lands. I think, like I said, for what the Sixers can look for, perhaps a plug and play right away. He's definitely that guy for sure.
Love it. All right, let's just jump right into pros. Lead us off, Tiago. You go first. What do you like about this guy's game?
So going back to the fit, and one of the comps that's kind of being thrown around there with EJ is Grant Williams, right? Yep. So we watched a lot of Grant Williams, too much Grant Williams by now, because the Celtics are 2-1 from the NBA championship, which is not a great thing. But we see a lot of Grant Williams, and Liddell seems to fit some of the same kind of play style than Williams does. I mean, the guy is a bona fide dog, strong, active, confident, can defend up a position. This is not a one-on-one comp, but he reminds me a little bit of PJ Tucker type in terms of his play style. He's a bit of the space from the corner. So from the standpoint of what we've seen from the Sixers, right, a lack of toughness, a lack of three-point shooting from the bench, the ability to add some lineup versatility off the bench, defending power forwards, defending small forwards, perhaps even defending some small centers. Who knows? Because such a strong player, provides great weak side rim protection. We saw in that video, right? So overall, when you talk about a plug and play fit, I think that is where you land with EJ. Now, we can talk a little bit about some of the negatives, some of the things that may not translate to the NBA. But I think from the standpoint of a plus for the Sixers, you're talking about, again, defensively, versatility, strength on both ends of the court, ability to pick and pop and do those things. So, yeah, there's a lot there with EJ for sure. So, Chris, you definitely will expand upon that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start out with his combine. Really impressing a lot of people. 6'7", 6'11" wingspan. He weighed in at 244 pounds. He says he wants to cut 10 pounds before the season starts. And the dude's putting up work. Reportedly, he's put up 29,000 recorded shots over the last 6.5 weeks. 35.5-inch vertical, which ranked number 1 among power forwards. And then you get to kind of his improvements. He went from 6.7 points a game to 16.2 to 19.4 in his 3 years at OSU. Rebounding went from 3.8 to 6.7 to 7.9. Effective field goal percentage went from 47 to 51 to 54. Just efficiency across the board, man. Pretty much everything. 2-point percentage, free throw rate, 3-point percentage, foul shooting, block rate, assist rate. Everything has gone up for this guy. So he's well deserved of a lot of the praise he's been getting over these last few weeks. And then you talk about kind of that defensive versatility that's really intriguing. He has the size to play on the perimeter or in the post. So he's also a solid rim protector. He averaged 2.8 blocks per game. He could be a potential small ball 5, like you said. So there's a lot to like, but let's move on to cons. What are some weaknesses of this guy?
Yeah, so the projections, where I stop with the projections of Grant Williams is the fact that if you looked at Grant Williams' last season of Tennessee, there was a massive spike in shooting efficiency. He went from something like 50% true shooting to 65% true shooting. And most of it came from the fact that not only he got their free throw line more efficient and at a higher rate, but he also shot free throws at a much higher efficiency. So he was shooting over 85%, I think, from the free throw line. EJ had a spike, but he kind of flatlined last year. So he shot about 75, 76%, I think, from the free throw line. yes, he had a bigger spike on 3-point percentage, but if volume still wasn't there. So I'm a little bit hesitant on the shot. And when you watch it on film, it's a flat shot, man. Like it's one of those shots that kind of, when it bounces off the rim, it goes flying like 20 feet up in the air. So I am a little bit uncertain about if that shot is going to translate. And if it doesn't translate, what is he really as a prospect, right? Because now you're talking about another guy who perhaps is not a playable guy offensively, and the Sixers have a couple of those guys already on the roster. So that's a little bit tricky. And I think that the second part of it is the fact that when you break down where he got his shots on the court, a lot of his efficiency was driven from the post. So him in the post, backing up smaller guys. He's got great footwork. He can shoot over smaller guys. He can bully smaller guys to a great level. But the Sixers have Joel Embiid. And you're not going to get a lot of your post stuff with Joel Embiid on the court. It's just not going to happen. So you kind of limit what he can bring to your roster because you're likely not pairing him with Joel unless he just becomes this high-level three-point shooter and can play some power forward, small forward. So, again, a lot of it hinges on the shot. That's obviously his swing skill. And when you break it down, both the film and his statistical history, it doesn't necessarily translate. So I'm interested to see all the work. You talked about it, Chris, all the work he's done so far with the shooting. I think he realizes that's very critical for his NBA career. So we'll see where it lands. But, when we talk about high ceiling prospect, 21 years old, that ceiling is a little bit lower in my eyes.
Yeah, I think like if you're looking for like a very good role player, I think this is it. Like this is a solid match. For me, his shot selection wasn't great at times. At times he had, kind of seemed to settle for a lot of bad shots instead of getting good ones, and seemed to settle for also like those contested mid-range jumpers and a deeper jumper. But playing alongside James Harden and getting him to the basket would do wonders for his game, I think. And then kind of course, the question, what is he? There's probably a solid chance that he could be somewhat of a tweener in the NBA. He's not big enough to match up against, some of the big men. And can he be that switchable kind of forward on the perimeter and defend guards? Probably shouldn't at the next level. His lack of foot quickness is definitely a little bit of a concern. And I think there's definitely a strong chance he struggles to get a shot off at the next level. So that leads us into fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. How would you grade it out of 10? Do you like the fit?
Yeah, I would give it like a 7.75, to be honest with you, because I'm not as strong on the shot. We may have to review those rankings later, Chris, before you post them.
Oh, for sure.
Throwing numbers out there right now. I'm like, before him, after him, there should be before and after. It's kind of a mess right now, but we'll review that later. I honestly, I see him as like a second-round prospect. So from that standpoint, I don't necessarily think it's a great value pick at 23. But, you talk about fitting with the Sixers. Even if the shot doesn't translate, you can still use him as a screen and diver, bring positional versatility off the bench. So those things I think fit any NBA roster, and obviously the Sixers, how they like to operate in the half court. So, but yeah, I just think there's much more value to be had in this NBA draft for sure.
Yeah, you look at his three-point shooting. If he could be like an average three-point shooter, I'm good, because you look at his rebounding per 100 possessions, 14.7 rebounds per 100 possessions. He definitely fits the bill for the fit. That is definitely clear. I'm definitely going higher than you. I'm going to go. I'm looking at some of my other my ratings here on my sheet. I will go a 9.2.
Wow. You believe on the shot, because if you put it,
I believe on the shot.
You believe on the shot.
I just think the need is so high, and he gives, like, the PJ Tucker comparison bumped this up. I was probably at a 9, and then he's brought up the PJ Tucker comp, and I'm like 9.2. For me, they need it so bad. They need a young guy, 21-year-old, to develop in this spot so much. And if that shot translates, I'm in.
If that shot translates, he's a 9.5 because he can do so much for you. So, but I'm just more not as bullish on the shot.
Yeah, when you look at the totals, let me look at the totals. He shot 34.1% from three on 229 attempts. So his volume of three increased every single year. He took 3.8 attempts from three last season, 37.4%, 33% the previous year, 19%, but only 26 attempts his freshman year. So, yeah, you nailed it. Like, if the shooting translates, man, this guy is a really intriguing prospect. But he's putting in the work, man. He's putting in the work. Tiago, where can we find you, man? Any final thoughts on EJ Liddell?
Yeah, you can find me at Tiago TPO.
Tiago PHL.
I just completely backed out on my Twitter handle. I've been not been very Twitter active recently, so that blanked out on me. Yeah, and the final thought is just, I mean, I think he definitely can be a plug and play guy right away, but I just think there's bigger fish to catch. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. A lot of intriguing kind of role players that wings. Forwards that fit the Sixers' need for sure at pick number 23, whether they're back end of the first round, top of the second round, that's up for debate. But there's a lot of good fits if they keep the pick. Follow my man Tiago on Twitter at TiagoPHL. I am Dies, Mr. Crockpot. For all of our NBA draft breakdowns and scouting reports, check us out here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. For Tiago, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.